How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's Stick Mobility class. I am Coach Ray, and as usual, thank you for joining me for today. Now, for today's class, we are going to need access to one short and one long stick. You'll also notice behind me, I have a pad for us to kneel on because we are going to be doing some kneeling drills, specifically working with the hip flexor, adductors, and even working with some rotation as well. But we also have a slam ball, right? So if you happen to have a slam ball, something that's not going to bounce, specifically something that's not going to bounce, this is going to be a fun workout because I do want to get into some ball slams. I have yet to do a workout where we actually utilize ball slams. So we're going to be utilizing different positions, going from a square stance position to a split stance position and just working with generating power that way. And we're also going to get into a little bit of core drill and a high plank shoulder tap for our strength training. So today's workout's actually going to be a little bit more focused on full body, not necessarily focusing on one particular thing today. So we're going to start off with the short stick first, and I am going to start off with some kayaking here. Now I want to start with my feet roughly a little wider than shoulder width, and I want to squat down, get into that horse stance here. Now remember, we want to make sure that the spine is stacked over the pelvis, and I'm going to grip the stick with my fingertips at the ends of the stick here. I'm going to start with that right hand up, and I'm going to drive that right hand through nice and slow. And I don't want any rotation in the spine here. I want you to think about keeping your chest facing forward. And you want to keep that movement nice and slow. We should be feeling the shoulder blades gliding along the rib cage. You want to work with as much range as you can manage. Good. Make sure you're breathing here, keeping everything under control. Let's go backwards here. We're going to reverse directions. Excellent. Good. Nice and slow. Keep it controlled. Excellent. We're going to go back forward. Now we're going to add in those rotations. So I'm going to rotate each way as I work through that kayaking here. Again, keep that movement nice and slow, and we're really rotating more so at the spine. And now we're going to start to segment the hips into it as well. So we're still rotating, but I'm rotating my hips along with the kayaking. So you should feel like you're getting more rotation here as we're going in reverse. Excellent. And relax. Good. Wonderful. Now we're going to work on some T-spine extension with some rotation here. And so I'm going to have a roughly hip width stance. Toes are still going to be pointed forward. I'm actually going to move up a little bit closer here. And I'm going to have the bottom of the stick angled in towards me, lined up with my center line here. I'm going to have both hands at about chest height or roughly at the top of this short stick here. This is a 5-foot stick, by the way. From here, keeping my arms straight, I want to lightly drive my shoulders down, drive the stick down, and then I'm going to hinge back, reach out. This is the first part of the movement, and I want to make sure that I'm trying to get my chest to the floor. Now notice that my left hand is actually stacked over my right, so I'm going to rotate the stick over to my left side, and I want to make sure that I clear my head over my shoulders, and I want my shoulders to be as close to a 12 and 6 position as possible. I'm going to take my left hand, place it on top of the stick, and I'm going to push with that left hand. As you do that, you're going to feel an increase in rotation. I'm going to ease off, bring it back forward, do it again, rotate, place that left hand on the back, drive that left hand out, breathe, excellent. Place that hand back on, come forward and up. Now we're going to switch hands and switch sides. Right hand's on top now. Hinge back, reach out, try to get that chest to the floor. Rotate to the right. Excellent. Right hand on the back of the stick. Drive the stick out. Excellent. Bring back forward. Go again. Rotate to the right. Hand on the back of the stick. Push that right hand out. Excellent. Come back forward. And up. And ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to still work with some rotation here. We're going to do this from a standing position. So I'm going to have a wider than shoulder width stance. Feet are still going to be pointed forward here. Now what's going to be different is the stick's going to be in the crooks of the elbows here. And we've done this before. Now mainly as we're doing this, we want to make sure that we're driving our hands forward. As you do that, you should be feeling that extension in that mid back and T-spine here. That's what we're going for. Now from this position here, my hands are actually going to be a little free here. I'm going to hinge down into this position. You want to hinge as far as you comfortably can. If you can only hinge here, that's fine. But you want to make sure that you can get your hands on the inside of your thighs. Now, both hands, back of my hands are on the inside of my thigh, and I'm going to slide my left hand in and down and in towards my inner thigh. And as I do that, I'm going to get rotation to the right, and I'm going to slide it back up. And then I'm going to slide that right hand down on the inner part of my thigh, that adductor. Back to center, other side. Excellent. We want to flow back and forth here, folks. Excellent, nice and easy. Slide that left hand in, leverage that left hand, nice and hard. Breathe, should be feeling that spine kind of open up a little bit more. Let's go one more each way. Back to center, stand up, squeeze those glutes, and ease off. Excellent. Now let's go ahead and work on the hips. So we're going to grab the pad for us to kneel on and a short stick here. Now I'm going to start with my left knee down and my right foot's going to be forward. Now with the long stick, we're going with the long stick because we want to make sure we get as much reach up as much as we can here, or get our hand up as tall as we can. And as usual, we can always adjust your hand as you need to. Now, having my right foot forward, my left foot is back, I'm going to dorsiflex my left ankle. So I want to make sure I'm driving that big toe down into the floor here to create more tension in a power position from the anterior part of the hip. Now my left hand is going to be up high. Notice I'm not starting here. If I got here, I can't sink forward into that. So the bottom of the stick is in line with the heel of my front foot. Left hand is up relatively high. And now I'm going to lightly drive the stick down and then sink forward into the stretch here. Now as I do that, I want to squeeze my left glute, opening up those anterior tissues here. Notice my hand is pretty much almost overhead. Now what I'm going to do from this position here, I'm going to rotate towards that front leg. So to my right, rotating my right hand towards 6, then back forward. And now I'm going to rotate my right hand towards 9. Breathe. Still getting a stretch in the front of that hip here. Hold this position. Ease off. Take a moment. Now we're going to switch sides here. So I'm going to go with my left foot forward, right foot back. Again, we're still dorsiflexing that back foot. Bottom of the stick is in line with the heel of that front foot here. Right hand's up nice and high. Lightly drive the stick down, drive the back foot down, and squeeze that right glute and sink forward. So you actually want to feel like you're hanging in that right hand here. Rotate to the left. Excellent. Back forward. Rotate to 3. Good. Rotate to 6. And rotate to 3. Back to center, stay here. Make sure you're squeezing that glute and ease off. Excellent, good. And now we're gonna work with the hamstrings here. So from this position here, I'm going to have my left knee down, right foot is gonna be forward, so we're gonna be focusing on that right hamstring. Now my right foot is gonna be forward. Have my heel down, ankle dorsiflexed here. I'm gonna have the bottom of the stick in line with my center line here. Hands are gonna be roughly about chest height. Now as I do this, I wanna make sure that I have a slight bend to this right knee. And what I'm gonna do, back foot is dorsiflexed, trying to keep this hip as neutral as I can for now. We're gonna hinge back into this position, but we're gonna create tension on that hamstring here. We're keeping the ankle dorsiflexed, my right ankle dorsiflexed. I wanna first drive that front heel into the floor, almost like I'm trying to flex my knee, so curl, like I'm trying to curl it in here. At about 30% tension. Now from here, I'm going to hinge forward, still driving that heel down and back like I'm trying to flex the knee, like I'm trying to do a leg curl here. And then I'm going to come up. Excellent, let's go a couple more here. Hinge forward, so driving that heel down. Should be feeling quite a bit of activation in that hamstring here. Back up. One more time. Hinge. Breathe. Back up. Ease off. Excellent. I'll turn to the side here so you can also see what that looks like. Right knee's down. Left leg is forward. Again, slight bend to that front knee here. Ankle is dorsiflexed. Back ankle is dorsiflexed. We're going to do that same thing. Switch your hands. Now drive that front foot down 30%. And you're going to hinge forward. Get a nice good stretch, but you're also getting some activation in the hamstring here. Back up. Good. Two more. Hinge forward. Breathe. Back up. One more time. Hinge forward. Back up. And ease off. Excellent. Good. Now, we're going to work with a little bit more shoulder mobility here. So I'm going to place this stick down. We're going to grab the short stick again. And what we're going to work with is we're going to work with external rotation. We are going to be in a overhead position with the ball. So we will need to make sure that we have the shoulders adequately warmed up for this particular drill. I'm going to take the short stick here and I'm going to have it on the right side of my body. And what I want to do is I want to get my right elbow on the inside of the stick, take my right hand and place it at the top. Notice how I'm gripping the stick here, right? I want to go with that overhand grip. Elbow is going to be in front of the shoulder and I kind of want to keep it there. We're going to work on external rotation. Now from here, I'm going to grip the stick at 30%. All right, so I get some activation in that arm line here. Now I'm going to pull with my left hand across my center line and get external rotation on our right shoulder. Once you feel a little bit of a stretch, hold that position. Focus on your breathing. So deep breaths. Now we're going to try to shorten the stick. So I want to compress the stick. Good. Only about 30%, 20, 30%. Now let's go ahead and pull that stick apart, try to lengthen. Good. Shorten. Good. Hold. Lengthen. Excellent. Breathe. Shorten. 20 to 30% here, folks. And lengthen. Pull apart. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Nice and slow. Let go with the hand and relax. Now we're going to switch sides here. So same thing. Left elbow's on the inside of the stick. Hand is gripping the top. Right hand's down. Now we're gonna do that same thing. Grip the stick 20 to 30%. We're gonna pull that right hand across the center line. Once you find that stretch, compress the stick. Breathe, pull apart. Excellent, compress. Pull apart. Compress. Excellent, pull apart. 3, 2, 1. Slowly ease off. Excellent. And relax. Now we're just going to finish off with some dislocates. However, what's going to be a little different with these dislocates is we're actually going to bring our grip in a little bit closer. Reason being, we're going with the ball. It's actually going to be relatively small. So having our hands out super wide is not going to be as beneficial here. In terms of how wide my hands are going to be, we're going to roughly go right about shoulder width here, right? If you don't get your hands fully into that overhead position, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what we're just trying to do is warm up, getting the shoulders used to bringing your, getting into that overhead position a little bit here, right? Now I'm going to turn to the side here. Feet are going to be roughly about hip width. Toes are pointed forward. And I want to make sure I keep your glutes tight, right? Glutes tight, ribs and hips. I'm going to grip the stick with an overhand grip. What I'm going to do from here, keep my arms straight. I'm going to pull the stick apart, only about 30% tension. And now I'm going to slowly bring that stick up to an overhead position. As far as I can, keeping control of my ribs and pelvis. Now I'm going to bring the stick back down. Once my hands get to my chest, compress 30%. Good. Pull apart. Stick up overhead, nice and slow. Glutes tight, ribs and hips. Back down. Compress. Wonderful. Pull apart. Up. Back down. And compress. And ease off. Excellent. Now it's time to get into the fun stuff. You got a little bit of aggression you want to get out. This is the workout for you, folks. Now, I have a 20-pound medicine ball, slam ball here, or sandball. Now, it is starting on the floor. Piece of advice, use your legs as much as you possibly can, which means you shouldn't be in a position where you're rounding the back to get up. The ball should be light, right? 10, 15, 20 pounds. If you want to go heavier, by all means you can. Just make sure you can do it safely. Now, picking up the ball, I'm going to stand over it, and I want to make sure that the ball's pretty close to my center of gravity. Now here, I'm going to squat down. So I'm going to sink, squat, grab the ball with both hands. I'm going to pick up, bring it to my chest, up overhead, slam. As I slam, I am creating force going down, so I'm actually squatting back down. Now we're going to do this 15 times, right? Going to get that heart rate up a little bit. I'm going to turn forward for this one. So from here, okay, ready to start, get set in position. Make sure you control your breathing. Exhale as you go to slam. Up, down, 1. Up, down, 2. Up, down, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Good, excellent. First set down. Now, as you're breathing, as you're taking a break in between sets, because again, it is a little cardio intensive, you want to make sure that you're controlling your breathing. Breathe in, exhale through the mouth, in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. All right, we're gonna try to get 2 more sets here. No rush, take your time. If you're not recovered, that's okay, right? Let's go ahead and get into it again, right? Take a second, get set in position. Same thing, you wanna have that aggressiveness as you're going in for the slam. That is a part of this particular exercise. Also, foot width, depends on you, whatever allows you to get to the position to where it can create the most power. All right, ready? 15 more, pick up, slam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1 more. 15. Don't get everybody. We're gonna get 1 more set. Take your time. Now, something to think about as you're actually going to bring the ball up overhead is, where is your alignment? Meaning, are you sticking to ribs and hips? Are you overextending at the back? As you're going up for the slam, you don't need to get it directly overhead. It's just getting up, right? So if you're having a hard time getting hands over, like actually back overhead, do not worry about that. That's not the actual focus. The focus is generating as much power as you possibly can in a short movement, right? So not necessarily short, but going from getting to that, as soon as you hit that top position, you're slamming back down. If you can catch it, that's even better. That creates more of a challenge. If you can't catch it, that's fine. Do whatever you can based on your own capabilities. Let's go 1 more set, then we're gonna get into our next drill. Last one, 15 reps. If you're ready, let's do this. Let's finish this last one, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and get into our next drill. So now we're gonna go to our high plank core drill. We are gonna go back to ball slams. We're not actually done yet because we are still need to do a split stance position. However, we're gonna change gears. We're gonna go into a core drill. So shoulder taps is something where you do want to make sure that you have a little bit of a wider foot base. It will make it easier balance-wise. But the main objective of this drill is to make sure that, for one, we're not shifting a lot. Also, we're not rotating, right? So we're basically anti-shifting, anti-rotating in order to really work on this. Now, if you can get into a tall plank position, that's excellent. We can go there. However, notice that there's a bench here. If you have a bench or a chair that you might want to start on, maybe it's going to be a little more comfortable on the wrists. It's going to be a little bit easier for you to manage your body position because your body position needs to stay rock steady the entire time. Then do so. Find a way to make it easier or regress it if you have to. Now, I'll actually start off or show an example utilizing a bench here, and we'll go 8 taps per side. Now, again, the stance width is going to be a little, like relatively wide. So I'd say maybe shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider if you need to. My hands are going to be about this wide here. I want to keep them in nice and close. Now from here, I'm going to go with the wide stance, and I'm going to bring my hips forward so I'm in a flat position. As you do that, you should be feeling that core activate here. Now from this position here, arms are both straight. I want to tighten the core. I'm going to bring my right hand off, tap my left shoulder, and return it back. Bring my left hand off, tap my right shoulder, and then bring it back. As you do that, bring the right hand off, tap the left. You should be feeling that right foot pushing in pretty hard. Switch, left, that's 2. Right, left, right, left, that's 4. Right, left, right, left, that's 6. Right, left, right, left. Excellent. And ease off. As you do that, we're working that interior sling system, right? We need to get the hip and the shoulder to not only communicate, but you really hit those obliques as well. Again, we're getting anti-rotation as well as anti-shifting. So I'm actually gonna go to the floor here for this next set. Let's try to go for 8 reps again. And I'm actually going to change the angle. We're gonna go to the floor here, folks. Now, again, the same thing. All the movement requirements and cues are still very much the same. So I'm gonna get to a tall plank position. Notice how wide my feet are, right? So I'm not going super wide, going about roughly shoulder width here. Hands are under my shoulders. We're gonna do 8 taps. We're gonna start with the right hand first. So right, left, right, left, that's 2. Right, left, right, left, that's 4. Right, left, right, left, 6. Right, left, right, and left. Ease off. Excellent. So, a little bit of a different angle, but again, we're looking at how your body position is, how your body's moving, and make sure you pay attention to what you're feeling, right? If you're feeling like you're shifting a little bit more to one side, try to drive the opposite foot down a little bit more. Now, let's go ahead and get into those ball slams. Right, like I mentioned, we're now gonna do ball slams from a split position. However, we're not gonna do 15. All right, I'm gonna be a little nice to you guys. We're only gonna do 5 per side, 2 sets. Now, again, you can go with a lighter ball if you'd like. Go with a 5 or 10 pound ball. This is gonna be a little bit harder in the sense of balance, but that's what we're looking to challenge here. Now, for the split stance, you don't wanna go super narrow, right? Definitely shouldn't be here. Want to create a wide base. Right? So want to get almost like an athletic stance here. This allows us to pick up and slam, but notice at this bottom position, I'm still pretty centered, right? That's what we're going for. If you're finding that you're tipping over a lot, maybe look at the width of your stance. Don't be afraid to widen out that stance as much as you need to. Now, I'm going to start right foot forward, left foot back. Now, how big of a split? Not going with that big of a split here, right? It's a little bit of a split. So from here, same thing, up overhead, slam, catch if you can. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Switch sides. Something I want you to notice. Front foot stays flat, all right? We're not bringing the heel up, front foot stays flat. But that back heel stays nice and high the entire time. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Take a second. We're gonna do one more set. And we're trying to get the heart rate up. Generate power. Generate as much power as we can. People love ball slams Because you get out some of that aggression, right? But it allows you to focus on one particular thing. This is a drill or an exercise that you can, to a small degree, almost kind of go all out on, right? Right, let's go one more set here. Right foot forward, left foot back. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent, good. Let's go. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Now, finish strength training. Let's get into that fascial stretching. Yeah? So, let your heart rate calm down a little bit. Because just so we can actually put quite a bit of focus on the stretching. If you're still finding it hard to catch your breath, take a minute, sit down. Especially if you're lightheaded, please do not continue. Just tone it down a bit. Now, we're gonna take the long stick here. We're gonna get into a single arm hang. So we're just working with overhead positions. Now we wanna kind of focus on stretching out as much of those tissues as we can. So 6 foot stick or tall stick. Left foot's gonna be forward, right foot's gonna be back. I'm gonna have the bottom of the stick in line with the heel of my front foot, angled out. Now my right hand's gonna be up here at the top. I'm gonna have my left hand on for added support. From here, I'm going to slowly drop that back leg down, and I wanna get a hang in my right hand here. Gonna feel those lateral tissues open up, feel the rib cage open up. I'm gonna ease off. Rotate that stick a bit, and let's go again. So sink into it. Make sure you're breathing. Excellent. Ease off. Switch sides. Right foot forward, left foot back. And you can always adjust the distance in terms of stride length between your feet, right? You can always wiggle that back foot back a little bit more if you need to. So same thing, left hand is up, right hand's on a stick for added support. Then drop that back leg down. Ease off. Let's go one more time here, folks. Rotate the stick a bit and drop down. Breathe. Ease off. Excellent. Now I'm going to change over to the short stick here. We're going to get in some dislocates. Now for this, we're trying to warm up those shoulders, or not warm up, but cool them down. Get as much movement in the shoulders as we possibly can. Do not worry if you cannot get all the way up and over. We just want this to be something where we allow the shoulders to kind of get moving. Now it's not going to be the dislocates like before, where we're creating a lot of tension and so on and so forth. Instead, what we're going to do is just try to focus on getting the stick up and over and going both ways. Now, I'm going to turn to the side. Also, grip on the stick. I'm starting out wide. My suggestion for this particular exercise, start out wide, then move your hands in. Don't start narrow. So I'm going to face to the side here. I'm going to have a roughly shoulder width stance. I want to squeeze my glutes. Make sure you lock those hips into extension, because it's common for people to start to go with the low back. Now from here, starting out with the wide grip, keeping the arms straight, squeezing the glutes. I'm going to pull the stick apart about 10%. So very, very light. I'm going to bring the stick up overhead, back, if you can manage it. All right, touch your hips, come up and over. Excellent. Still pulling apart. That's one. Over. Good. That's 2. I'm gonna wiggle my hands in a little bit more narrow. Let's go again, pulling apart 10%. Keeping those glutes tight. 3. Good, let's go 2 more. 4. Excellent, last one. 5. Excellent, good, good. Now we're gonna take the short stick and the long stick. And we're gonna go to that T-spine extension drill again. And we're just focusing on getting to the overhead position, but also really shortening that anterior chain. So we're gonna stretch out that T-spine a little bit. So we're gonna use both sticks for this one. We're not actually rotating, but we are gonna be moving the arms out wider to the side and back forward. So actually for this one, I'll actually stand forward. Feet are gonna be roughly about shoulder width here. And I have both sticks right in line with my midfoot, and they're about a couple inches in front of the line of my toes here. Now, since I have the short and the long stick, I'm gonna have my hand at the top of the short, and I'm gonna match that height on the long stick. Now from here, arms are straight, drive those hips back, reaching out with those arms. Excellent, breathe. Now I'm gonna bring both sticks out to the side. Once I get my hands to be in line with my shoulders, I wanna hang out here for a bit. And I'm gonna try to get my chest a little closer to the floor, so I'm gonna get more weight in my hands here. So I'm gonna get a stretch in the chest and the shoulders. Now I'm gonna bring my hands down towards my hips. Bring them back to the side. Breathe. Now back up into the overhead position, nice and slow. Come back up and ease off. Excellent. We're gonna place the short stick down for the rest of the workout. Now we're gonna focus on getting to the bow and arrow first. We're gonna utilize the bow and arrow to really just focus on stretching out those lateral lines, and we're actually gonna change our foot position just a little bit here. Now I'm gonna start with both feet roughly about hip to shoulder width, toes pointed forward. You can start with the stick out further if you'd like, right? So it's a little less tension, or you can start with it closer to where it does require more tension, but it gets a bigger stretch. So stick's on the left side of my body, left hand is right about waist height, right hand's up over the top, thumb facing down towards the floor. I'm gonna first drive my hips away, that's the very first movement. Now I'm going to extend both hands out. Now from here, I'm gonna very lightly pull that top hand up towards the ceiling. You're gonna feel a tiny bit of activation, or a lot of activation on that lateral chain. Now I'm gonna ease off, bring it back in nice and slow, and relax. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Gonna do that same thing. Right hand's right about waist height. Left hand up over the top, thumb facing down. Drive those hips away. Extend those hands out. Very lightly pull up with the top hand. Ease off. Nice and slow. And relax. Bring your stance out wider. I want the bottom of the stick to be really close to where your midline is, right around that area, but it needs to be on the inside of that foot. Instead of pushing the stick out directly to the side, we're actually going down at an angle. So left hand is still roughly about waist height here. Right hand's gonna be up over the top, thumb facing down. Drive the hips away first. It's always a first movement, so create length on that side. Now drive your left hand going down to the side, and we're gonna do the same thing. Very lightly pull up with that top hand. Get a little bit of activation on that lateral chain, and we're gonna slowly come out. Excellent, let's go ahead and switch sides here. So I'm only gonna move the stick over a few inches here. Same thing, left hand up over the top, thumb facing down. Drive those hips away first. Extend those hands out. Lightly pull up with that top hand. Excellent. Ease off. Wonderful. Now let's go ahead and finish up with the slap shot. Kind of hit a little bit of everything all at once. And I'm going to kind of go from a little bit of an angle here. So I'm going to go with a relatively wide stance. This stance always depends on whatever's most comfortable for you. Stick's going to be behind my mid back here. And I'm going to have one of my feet to be pointed forward here. Now I'm going to have a slight bend to my knees. Drive my hips back and hinge. You're going to get a nice good stretch in those hamstrings. If you're tight and sore, this is going to feel pretty good. Now I'm going to rotate the left end down to my center line, if you can. Now I'm going to pull the stick apart about 20% tension, and I'm going to drive off my right leg and lunge to my left. Now I'm going to lunge to my right, driving off that left leg. It's okay if that bottom arm bends as you go to the right. Now to the left and right. Back to center. Good, now rotate the right end down. Same thing, pull apart, 20% tension. Drive off that left leg, lunge to the right. Now left. Right. And left. Back to center. Slowly come up, wiggle those feet in, and excellent. And that, my friends, concludes today's Stick Mobility class. I want to say thank you everybody for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hope everybody had a good, fun class. Again, I just wanted to do something a little fun, kind of a little more aggressive, right? Ball slams are really fun, but I will be sure to catch y'all next time. And as usual, have a good one. See you later.